In 1928, Al Capone commissioned the most technologically advanced car in America. A Cadillac lined with steel plating and inch-thick bullet-resistant glass. 3 years later, the government seized it. By 1941, that same vehicle was protecting President Roosevelt. The armored car wasn't invented by the military or the Secret Service. It was invented by gangsters. And the story begins with a constitutional amendment that turned Chicago into a war zone. Chicago in the early 1920s was a city at war with itself. The 18th Amendment had outlawed alcohol, but it only changed who controlled it. Bootleggers carved up the city into armed fiefdoms, moving truckloads of liquor through streets lined with rivals, police on the take, and desperate hijackers. Each convoy became a target. The Chicago Police Department's annual reports from 1920 to 1924 tracked a relentless rise. Motor vehicle robberies jumped from 1,925 to 2,813 in just 4 years. By 1923, nearly 400 liquor hijackings were logged in the city's crime blotter. Headlines told of trucks riddled with bullets on State Street, hijacked teams ambushing shipments near the lakefront, and armored sedans roaring away from the scene, sometimes leaving bodies in their wake. The numbers told their own story. Losses from a single hijacked shipment could reach $15,000, enough to bankroll a small army. Court dockets from the same period list dozens of indictments for armed robbery of liquor convoys, with cases surging year after year. The violence was not random. Gangs like Capone's outfit and the North Side Mob treated the city grid as a chessboard, planning ambushes, laying traps, and using the automobile as both shield and weapon. Mechanics in back-alley garages began reinforcing doors with scrap steel and hiding compartments for Tommy guns, turning ordinary cars into rolling bunkers. The city's streets became gauntlets, every intersection a potential kill zone, every delivery a test of survival by design, not chance. The arms race had begun. To move money and men through Chicago, raw firepower was no longer enough. Protection now demanded engineering. The men who shaped Chicago's early armored cars were not ordinary mechanics. Many had returned from the battlefields of France, where they had welded tank hulls and repaired bullet-riddled trucks under fire. By 1922, city directories listed dozens of garages advertising ex-Army ordnance specialists or tank crewmen on staff, a selling point for anyone seeking more than routine auto repair. These veterans brought with them a working knowledge of armor-grade steel, riveting, and the nascent science of bullet-resistant glass, skills that had been honed in the mud and chaos of World War I. The first attempts to armor cars were crude. Mechanics bolted scrap steel scavenged from rail yards onto doors and floorboards. Some lined panels with thick books or hardwood planks, hoping to stop a .38 caliber slug. Others filled door cavities with sandbags or concrete, only to find the extra weight snapped axles or left engines gasping for power. Invoices and police raid logs from 1925 describe book-filled doors and welded scrap plates as common features in seized vehicles. These makeshift solutions could slow down a pistol round, but a rifle or a Tommy gun would punch straight through. The city's police reports are blunt. In one 1927 robbery, a liquor truck's steel-plated door burst open under rifle fire, scattering cargo and crew alike. The limitations were obvious. Heavy armor strained suspensions and overheated engines. Bulletproof glass, adapted from surplus aircraft windshields, often shattered at the edges or delaminated in the summer heat. Early ballistic tests, sometimes carried out behind closed shop doors with borrowed police weapons, revealed that only true military-grade steel and proper mounting could withstand sustained gunfire. The lessons were harsh, but they forced a shift. Survival on Chicago's streets would require more than improvisation. It would take engineering, real, tested, and built to last. Al Capone, just 29 and already a household name in Chicago's underworld, needed more than muscle to survive the city's constant crossfire. In the spring of 1928, he approached the Capstrand family's modest garage on South Archer Avenue with a job that had nothing to do with routine repairs. The order was clear. Take a brand new Cadillac Series 341, a town sedan, and turn it into something the city had never seen. A car that could shrug off a hail of bullets. The Capstrands worked in secrecy, their shop doors locked tight, deliveries arriving after dark. Richard Capstrand, still a teenager, remembered the tension in the air as his father and a handful of trusted men measured, cut, and welded thick steel plates to the car's frame. Every step was double-checked, every visitor scrutinized. Capone's men stopped by often, inspecting progress, making sure no detail was overlooked. The family kept no written records beyond the most cryptic notations. Even payment was handled in cash, handed over in silence. Richard later described the moment Capone himself arrived to see the work. The mob boss, dressed in his trademark tailored suit, ran his hand along the armored doors, tapping the glass, asking about the weight and the way the engine would handle the extra load. He wanted a fortress that looked like any other Cadillac on the outside, but could keep him alive when the bullets started flying. In that cramped garage, engineering became a matter of life and death. The Capstrands delivered the finished car in late October 1928, sending Capone out into the city with a new kind of protection, one born not from improvisation, but from precision and secrecy. The final product of the Capstrand garage was a study in mechanical adaptation. Beneath the Cadillac's polished body, a network of half-inch hardened steel plates lined the doors, roof, and floor, each panel bolted directly to reinforced frame rails. The windshield, nearly 3 inches thick, was built from 2 layers of glass fused with a cellulose inner layer, a method borrowed from wartime aircraft canopies. Side windows used similar lamination, their edges carefully sealed against shattering. This armor scheme added more than 1,200 pounds to the body alone, with the total vehicle mass climbing by roughly 35% over the factory specification. The engineering challenge did not end with protection. The original V8, rated at 100 horsepower, now strained under the new load. Even with a retuned carburetor and a heavy-duty transmission, the car lost about 10% of its effective horsepower. Acceleration lagged, and top speed dropped by nearly 15 miles per hour. More troubling was the increase in braking distance. The mechanical drum brakes, never designed for this weight, stretched stopping distances by 50%. A stock Cadillac might halt in 120 feet, but the armored version needed closer to 180 feet. Suspension leaf springs were doubled in thickness and the axles reinforced, yet the ride remained sluggish and the steering heavy. Fuel economy fell by a quarter, and the cooling system was upgraded to prevent boil-over on summer runs. Every modification was a trade-off, protection bought at the price of speed, maneuverability, and comfort. Yet by the standards of the era, the car's ability to absorb gunfire and keep rolling was unmatched, enough to impress not just gangsters, but later, the government itself. February 14, 1929, left Chicago reeling. 7 men lay dead in a garage on North Clark Street, their bodies riddled by bullets fired from behind the steel doors of 2 black Ford sedans. The St. Valentine's Day massacre dominated headlines across the country, not just for its brutality, but for the cold efficiency with which the killers used automobiles as both disguise and escape route. That morning, the city's faith in ordinary vehicles as safe passage evaporated. The press printed diagrams of the crime scene, tracing the gunman's path from street to slaughter and out again. While editorials demanded answers from city leaders about how such a crime could unfold in broad daylight. Within days, the city council convened emergency sessions. Ordinance number 1529 passed on February 20th, requiring all police vehicles to display official placards, an attempt to prevent gangsters from using fake squad cars for ambush. The police department responded by forming the Special Automotive Unit, tasked with cataloging modified cars and tracking reports of reinforced chassis. Trade journals and local papers reported a spike in requests for bulletproof modifications, with auto shops fielding inquiries from anxious businessmen and public officials alike. The massacre had exposed a new vulnerability. The street itself was now a battlefield, and only proven armor could promise survival. Demand for armored cars surged, turning what had been a clandestine criminal tool into a public necessity. Federal agents seized Capone's armored Cadillac in October 1931, cataloging it among assets destined for government use. A decade later, as the United States entered World War II, the Secret Service faced a new threat landscape. With presidential security at stake, technicians inspected the old mobster's car and found it offered better ballistic protection than any vehicle in their fleet. In 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt rode through Washington in the former gangster's Cadillac, its steel plating and bullet-resistant glass now shielding the leader of the free world. The car's journey from criminal tool to presidential safeguard embodied a transformation that rippled far beyond Chicago. By the early 1940s, banks and government agencies were commissioning armored vehicles as a matter of routine, and the market for protective transport began its climb toward a global industry valued at $18 billion by the 21st century. Capone's Cadillac resurfaced at auction in 2012, selling for $341,000, a relic of criminal ingenuity that laid the groundwork for the 9-ton beast now used by presidents, each door weighing as much as a bank vault. What began as criminal adaptation now defines official security worldwide. Today, every armored convoy and presidential limousine owes its existence to that original collision of violence and ingenuity. When survival drives invention, the line between outlaw and institution grows thin, and the legacy of those choices rolls on, steel-plated, into the present.